Okay, this is lesson 2 for Thursday, June the 11th. All right, we're continuing the scavenger hunt, and we are on number C, or letter C here. Paragraph 6. Try to find a phrasal verb in this paragraph. Hint, it has the word him in the middle of it. Well, I actually have already blown it because I already gave you this one when I was reviewing the article just a few minutes ago. The phrasal verb is to track down. And it's a very common phrasal verb. You could use it in all sorts of situations. We do track people down when we try to find them. But we might track something down, such as an item that we are looking for in stores. Perhaps you visit a friend and have dinner and you really like the grill that they have on their patio that they're cooking your hamburgers on. And they say, oh, I found this at Costco and it was 2 years ago, and you might say, well, I'm going to track that down. And you write the name and the model number, and then you begin to search for it online when you get home, or you go out to Costco or to other stores to see if you can find this grill. So tracking down can be related to things and people. It can also be related to information, tracking down information that we need to solve a problem would be another way of tracking down. I can imagine that medical professionals during this time have been tracking down a great deal of medical information to solve the questions that they've had about coronavirus, and we'll continue to do that. All right, D, and this is going to be in paragraph 6. This paragraph has a sentence that may be confusing. Had he not been there, she said, I would not be alive today. Highlight the sentence and I will discuss it in the video. All right. The reason that this sentence could be confusing is that it uses the idea of there, T-H-E-R-E, being as a state of being, and also as a physical place, but more so as a state of being. And that's the most what's the word here? That's the most misunderstood use of T-H-E-R-E. It's easy for us to think about there as a location, right? Over there, there on the table, that kind of thing. But to think of it as a state of being is a little more confusing. And so when people use that, if he hadn't been there, in terms of if he hadn't been in that situation, if he hadn't been the one to care enough, to take enough time to find me, whatever, I would not be alive today. So not only physically, but to be in a state of being where he was so very willing to do this amazing rescue. All right. E, looking in paragraph 12. What is a synonym for only in this sentence, the word only? During her time off, she went to the firehouse where Pugliese had worked, only to find a sign on the door discouraging visitors due to COVID-19. So when we use only this way, it could be used interchangeably, for instance, with the synonym just, okay? Just to find, okay? like as if it were the small but very important exception to why she was unable to actually have any luck at the firehouse, only to find, just to find that the firehouse had been closed. So if you've been using just this way, I went to the store just to find that they were already sold out of crab legs. Yum. I'd love some crab legs right now. If you've been using just, you might want to try only. I went to the store only to find out that they're sold out of crab legs. F, paragraph 12. What is the writer conveying when he says patient after patient? Patient after patient. That is a descriptive way to avoid saying many patients or lots of patients, okay? It's kind of a nice variation that gives the reader this image of this almost, oops, sorry, I've got this thing kind of loosely propped up in this room. It gives us sort of a mental image of this never-ending line of patients, which I think it must have felt that way for weeks for those doctors, right? I think it was last week sometime that we had a similar descriptive phrase, time after time. You hear that one actually sometimes in songs too. Time after time. Time and time again is another way. These are nice ways to maybe avoid using lots of or many. All right? G, in paragraph 13. Do you see something that sounds like an idiom? Highlight it and write it here. So let's take a look at paragraph 13. Taylor finally called a break on May 18th when a group of firefighters came to the emergency room to deliver the pizzas, okay? Same sentence we've used before. So the idiom is caught a break. All right? Not physically. You're not physically catching something, you know, a break. What's a break? All right? We know that then in this situation, or in any situation where things go our way, when we get real lucky, that we might say, oh, that was a lucky break, or I got a break when I, you know, learned that we didn't have the test today after all, okay? That was my lucky break. If you catch a break, it means that you kind of fortunately have this good thing come your way that positions you, you know, to be in a better situation. Think of times that you may have caught a break. Can you think of one? I would love to be able to hear that. I caught a break last week. I had been looking for a new vehicle. I had decided a while back that I did not want to drive an SUV anymore. I have liked the SUVs that I've driven, which have been several, but I find that I have more space than I need, which means that I'm using more energy, more gasoline than I need to use, and that oftentimes the space that I have, I end up throwing stuff in and having a big mess. And some of you, I think, have seen the inside of my car. and you've seen some of my mess. I also had been kind of feeling that the comfort level of my SUV, surprisingly, was not that great on trips. Just the seats or whatever didn't feel that wonderful to me. So I decided to start looking. And I decided that I wanted a Volkswagen Passat. Volkswagens, as you know, made in Germany, and I've never had a Volkswagen, but I went and tried a couple out, and I really like them. But I don't like to buy new cars. I love new cars, don't get me wrong. I think they're wonderful. But I know that when you pay for a new car, it depreciates very quickly. You lose a lot of the value very fast. So I usually try to buy a car that is just a little bit older and has low miles. So I looked and looked, and then I think it was Wednesday last week, I caught a break. And I searched again online for a used Passat in Atlanta, 2017 or 2018, and boom, one came up. And it happened to be the colors that I wanted, which were ordinary colors, silver, gray, and it had low miles. So actually I caught several breaks because I got a lot of things on my list, and I went to see the car and I drove the car, and all was good. So I made the trade from my SUV to the Passat. So that's one of my most recent times that I was lucky enough to catch a break. Try using that phrase this week. All right, and then I think we're at the last one, paragraph 15. Find and highlight a synonym that means the same as alive. All right, and I probably should have said could mean the same as alive. And in this case, I think it probably does, but it certainly could. It happens in paragraph 15 where Deidre Taylor says, I couldn't believe it. I really didn't think he was still going to be around. Now, most likely, she would have been thinking alive, where we see the word around. We do kind of use that in casual conversation and talking about people who are quite old. And, you know, we might say, I'm surprised he's still around. I knew he wasn't well. Or, you know, I remember his 90th birthday. Is he still around? And we really mean alive. We could, however, mean, is he still living in this area? Is she still in the company? You know, is she still around here somewhere working in this big company? I don't see her anymore. So it can be regarding a location, but in this case, I feel pretty certain that because Deidre Taylor knew that she was quite young when she was rescued, having seen the article, she knew that Pugliese was quite a lot older than she. And as it turns out, he is now, I believe the article said 75, 75, yeah. So I don't think the 75 is all that old, because I hope that I still feel young at 75, but I can see that she would have maybe imagined that he could possibly already be gone from this world. So wanted you to know the use of that in English conversation. All right, that's all that that I had for this article. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you found it a feel-good article that might stay on your mind for a few days, and that we can maybe look forward to getting a follow-up and find out that perhaps they've met in the future. All right, stopping this one a little bit soon. Thank you so much. So